Good evening, geographers. How are we all? 2 down, 1 to go. Paper 3 on Thursday, and we are going to be the most prepared students across the country. I promise you that. We've got 2 more live streams this season, tonight, and then we're going to do a Wednesday night one as well, just before your exam on the Thursday. So you can do our little Q&A. You can ask any questions about the exam and things that are coming up and all that sort of good stuff as well. But I hope you're doing well. I hope biology went well today, and maths on Wednesday, and then it is the big one. It's geography. And we end on a high. We're going to make sure that this exam is absolutely amazing and that you get the best possible grade for your paper 3. How I see paper 3 is a bit of a booster exam. So it's just going to boost your grade up even higher and hopefully get that grade that you've always wanted. Okay, 7, 8 or 9. So I'm going to share with you some structure to the paper today. We're going to have a little look at the DME section, the unseen fieldwork section, and then your fieldwork section as well. And all the things that they might ask you and things that you can prepare and things that you can plan for this exam. But before we get started, hello to all the viewers. Thank you to everybody who's joined us tonight and joined us in the chat and subscribed. Yep, we do really appreciate it. Right, let's have a look. QI. 7 Estuary is the best place for tidal energy. You are not wrong. So, the tidal range in Morecambe Bay is 10 meters of tidal range. It is one of the best places in the UK and also one of the best places in the world. A huge tidal range, 10 meters. You need a minimum of 3, and we've got 10 in Morecambe Bay. So it is perfect for tidal energy. Anna, good to see you. Thanks for dropping in, and hello to you, and hello. Oh, no, I didn't realise that. I feel so bad. Bruno, happy birthday, and thank you for joining us on the Geography live stream. Hey, where else would you rather be on your birthday than sat here on a live stream? Probably out for dinner somewhere. But anyway, happy birthday. Thank you for joining us. Hope you can hang around as well for this one. Happy birthday. You've got lots of birthday messages. There you go, Bruno. Moderator is in as well. Thanks, Mod. Thanks for joining us this evening. And I hope you've done well in all your exams as well. I'm sure you have. Paper 2 was hard. Paper 2 was tricky. Now, I always say plan for a tough exam. Same with paper 3. Plan for a difficult exam. And then if it's easier, well, there you go. You're happy, aren't you? And if it's tough, I quite like a tough exam because it separates the grade boundaries. It makes it harder for those that haven't revised to get the grades they want. And those that have revised, you'll pick up some marks, don't worry. You'll pick up some grades. So, yeah, it was a tough paper. A lot of the predicted content did come up. There was a few things that I was shocked weren't there that I thought might be. But, yeah, a lot of our predicted content did come up. But the questions were really tricky. The 6-mark questions in particular were tricky. But onwards and upwards. You've done it. You can't worry about it. You can't change it. We'll see what you get. But this is where you can make that difference on this paper. There's a lot of love for you in the chat there. Hi, Zara. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate you dropping in. Good to see you in the chat tonight. Harry's in. Good to see you, Harry. Probably forgot the stream and got myself a cup of tea. Yeah, definitely have a cup of tea, obviously, always to get me through the live stream. Yeah, let us know what you're drinking, what you're eating in the chat to get you through this final stages of revision now for geography. Lots of love in the chat for Bruno. Lots of happy birthday. Hello, James. Good to see you. Thank you so much for that wonderful gift, by the way. Yeah, I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Top stuff. It's in my office at the moment, and I love the compass as well. The compass down. Anna, good to see you, Anna. Lovely to see you. And I've seen Zara already. Do you think they'll be mark paper 2 nicer? What I think they will do, I think paper 1 was very accessible or easy. I think paper 2 was tough, and obviously paper 3 we don't know where we are yet. What I love about paper 3 is you've got a lot of say over what happens. So we know they're going to ask us about tidal energy. We know they're going to ask us about the booklet. So know the booklet. So revise the booklet. You know you're going to get asked a decision on whether tidal energy is sustainable or should go ahead. So plan that. And then you've got your field work, which you've done, you went on, and revised that. So with paper 3, if you do revise, you kind of know what you're going to be asked to do, which you don't in paper 1 and 2. So I don't know. It's not going to be easy, but I think paper 3 might fit in the middle. Obviously, then they'll do the overall marks, and then they've got to make sure that 70% of your year get a grade 4 or above, and 25% get a it's about 25%, 28% get a grade 7 and above, and 4% get a grade 9. So you've got to divide the grades out. So the grade boundaries will be lower after that exam. And if you didn't cry after that exam, good, because a lot of people apparently got upset about that paper. But as I say, it's onwards and upwards. We stay strong, we stay positive, and this one, we're going to absolutely nail it. So if you're watching as a podcast, thanks for joining us as a podcast. But most of you watch live. So yeah, make sure you got some revision materials there. So let me just show you what you're going to need. It's always the same stuff. There you go. You're going to need a piece of paper. Good sheet of A4 paper. There we go. And you're going to need some crayons. Just get yourself involved today. And a ruler, a pen and a highlighter there, my key bits of essential revision, and obviously a cup of tea. Looking a bit better today, actually. That one is nice cup of Yorkshire tea. So that is good. So make sure you got your equipment. We're going to get started in 1 minute's time. AQA been meaning to with the paper 2s. Yeah, they have been mean. Paper 2 is always the hardest paper. I don't know if your teachers told you that, but human geography is usually the hardest paper. This one is normally in the middle, paper 3. Depends if you revise for this one, you should be fine. You should be fine. Mina, yeah, absolutely, yeah, Zara, yeah, Mina. It is Mina. But hey, it's no fun if it's easy. If everybody thought it was easy, then it's harder to get the best grades. Good geographers will still get the best grades. Don't you worry about that. AQA will look after you, and they'll make sure you get the best grades. I promise. Right. 17 in the chat. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you dropping in. We are going to talk about paper 3 today. And then, again, if you've got any questions, you can post those in the chat. We'll try and get to those as well. So here we go. The preparation for paper 3. Let's have a little look then. So we're going to go right in here. Let me just get a slightly bigger screen there. So paper 3, we know what we're going to be asked to do, but what is it that we need to know? So here we go. Here's our banner then. For those that are doing their revision along, I'll try and get as much key revision for this paper on this one piece of paper as I can. So this is a skills paper. So it's not so much knowledge here. You've done the knowledge papers. You've done the 2 knowledge papers. This is seeing how good of a geographer you are at the end of the course. Do you have the skills of a geographer? Can you think like a geographer? Okay. Are you going to go into the big wide world as a geographer? Okay. So this is the ability to put your answers skillfully together. So paper 3, geographical skills, 12th of June, which is Thursday. It's in the morning, which is much better, and it's 1 hour and 30 minutes. It's exactly the same as all the other papers. But there is a difference with this paper, which is actually quite nice. I'm going to put it in capitals here. Answer all the questions. Yes, we've been waiting for this paper. Forget answer A and B and 2 and 6 and whatever else. You answer everything on this paper, all the questions. Yeah, there are 5 sections, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you answer all of them. Section 1, 2, and 3 is on the Tidal Energy booklet. Section 4 is on unseen fieldwork. You can't really revise for that apart from doing a few past papers. Always do the past papers. It's a good little tip. And question 5 is your own independent fieldwork, which you should know and you should be able to revise for. But we've done a little bit of planning for that today. So if I do miss some of the chat, I do apologize. Hi, I saw your YouTube on Reddit. Oh, thanks. Whoever did that. Truly appreciate that. Whoever posted it, thank you so much. Hi, sir. Thanks for joining us. It's lovely to have you on the live stream. I thought it was 1 hour 15. It used to be 1 hour 15. they've now changed it to 1 hour, 30 minutes. So last year was 1 hour, 30 minutes. And I promise that yours is 1 hour, 30 minutes. Okay. So you should have enough time to answer all the sections as you wish. So it's definitely 1 hour, 30 minutes. I promise you. And it's 76 marks. Well done, Bruno. Yeah. Look at last year's paper. That's the nearest to what you're going to get. 76 marks, 1 hour, 30 minutes. I like that change. So do I. Do you know why? Because geography papers are insane. Like how much you have to write in an hour and 30 minutes is against human rights, in my opinion. It's like it's ridiculous. It's relentless. This paper, you should find that you've got not loads of time, but you should find that you've got maybe 5 minutes at the end to check your answers and things like that. But yeah, geography papers are crazy for how much they expect you to do in that time. Okay, let's get straight into it then. Over this side of the paper, what do I need to know? So that's probably what you've joined the live for. What do I need to know to get my grade 4 and above? Okay. Well, you need to know that it's 30% of your grade. That's a lot. That's a lot for grabs, that is. So if you do well on this paper, that's a third of your grades going to come from here. And as I say, with good planning and good revision, this paper is easy to defeat. Or easier to defeat, should I say. Nothing's easy. And it's worth 76 marks. As Bruno's already said, 76 marks up for grabs. So you've had to get 88 marks in an hour and 30 minutes so far. This is 76 marks in an hour and 30 minutes. So you should be able to have a little bit more thinking time, which is really important. Okay, what's the first thing you need to know? Now, this sounds really obvious, but you need to know the booklet. So you need to know your DME decision-making exercise booklet on tidal energy. Yeah, if you've not read through that before your exam, you should have done. Like, you don't have time to reread it in the exam. You've got to know where the sections are on the data, where the opinions are, where the positives, where the negatives are of the project. You've got to be able to signpost it quickly. So you must know where the things are in the booklet. And on that note, there are some fantastic YouTubers that I'm now going to just briefly plug, because you don't actually have to read. Well, it's good to read the booklet, but you can also just watch one of these many YouTube videos. So they're not mine, so they're even better. So you've got this one here. This one is absolutely amazing. This is called Geography Case Studies, the one in the center here. Yeah, that'll take you through all figure 1, 2, and 3. Well worth the watch. Geography Hawks, really good video here. You can see I've been watching that one. Yeah, they're about 12 minutes long. You've got another one there. Yeah, so I would recommend probably the Geography Hawks one here. Amazing. And this one here by Geography Case Studies. Just watch those and that'll run you through the booklet. Have the booklet in front of you and it'll run you through the booklet. Turn the pages with the commentary and you're on to a winner. But you do need to make sure that you've looked over that booklet before this exam, okay? And that you know where things are that you need, okay? So that should give you a little bit of help. So know the booklet. And what I mean by know the booklet is know the following, okay? So know the names of places, place names. Yeah. So you've got Morecambe Bay, but what other names are in that booklet that you should be aware of, okay? You need to know the key terms. So what specialist terms are in that booklet that you are not sure of? If you go through the booklet and go, oh, I don't know what that word means, then you need to find out what it means. You've also got lots of graphs and maps in there. So you should know for data trends and patterns. So have a look at the graphs again. What's increasing? What's decreasing? What types of energies are most commonly used in the UK? How has it changed over time? What's the pattern? What's the trend? So make sure you know your patterns and trends. Also, make sure you know the kind of for arguments, positive, and against arguments about the tidal energy project. So make sure you're aware of the for and against arguments in the booklet. Where are they in the booklet? Yeah. What's the positives of tidal energy? What's the negatives? So again, you know you're going to have to debate this. I promise you, you're going to have to debate the for and against arguments of the tidal energy barrier. So where are those in the booklet? Okay, make sure you know them. You're going to have to know as well, if you're going for grades 5 and above, yeah, you're going to have to know what we call the stakeholders. Hit us up in the chat, guys. Do you know what we mean by a stakeholder? Yeah. What do we mean by stakeholders? You need to know stakeholders in the booklet for grade 5 and above. But what do we mean by stakeholders? 30, someone's actually calculated the precise percentage. I like that. Precision. I like precision and perfection. Are the grade boundaries for paper 3 lower than paper 1? No. So you only have grade boundaries for the whole thing. So once they've got your mark from paper 1, paper 2, paper 3, they'll work out your total score, and then you'll get a grade allocated to that. In the past, and I don't want to kind of over predict, but in the past, a grade 4 has been 40%, a grade 5 has been 50%, a grade 7's been about 70% of the overall marks. That's roughly where they've been. It doesn't work perfectly, but that's roughly. So if your target's a 5, try and get 50% on each paper, roughly. Okay, stakeholders. What do we mean by stakeholders? Yeah, companies, government, yeah, people. Yes, people who've contributed money to the project. Well done, Zara. So James, anybody who's involved in the story, positively or negatively. It could be private sector business, it could be public sector government, it could be local interest groups, things like that. But stakeholders are really, really key. And the most important key thing are the theme of this project. The theme. And the theme of this project is always sustainability. You will have to use that word in this exam. Is this project sustainable? What do we mean by sustainability, guys? Hit us up in the chat. What is sustainability? So you should be highlighting your booklet as you go through. You get a brand new booklet in the exam without any annotations on it, but as you're reading it, highlight it, okay? You might highlight in different colors like key terms, stakeholders, for and against. Yeah. And make sure you watch those YouTube videos on paper 3. Watch the other YouTube content. I don't think there's any exams tomorrow, guys. So yeah, jump on that. Spend a day looking at paper 3 stuff. I think you need to do about, 5 hours of revision. Probably slightly more if you're trying to get a grade 9 or something. Anyway, theme sustainability. What does sustainability mean? Yes. Wow. That is the Brundtland Report 1989 definition. Meeting the needs of the present about the future generations. Well done, Bruno. That is absolutely exceptional. Yeah, there's enough room for future generations. That's the key phrase. Future generations. Is it going to be good for future generations? Well done, Zara. Well done, Maya. Future generations. That's it. Those 2 words is key for sustainability. Harry, that is dictionary perfect. Well done. There is exams tomorrow. Oh, is there? Sorry, Q. I didn't realise. I know there's maths on Wednesday and geography Thursday. What's tomorrow? I don't know. Okay, so key theme is sustainability. This is a word that you're definitely going to need to use. So the booklet, make sure you're familiar with all of those things there. Patterns in the data, key terms, places that are in there. And go through the booklet and maybe highlight it, or maybe make sure you know where they are to signpost. Spanish. Oh, sorry. Yeah, Spanish tomorrow. Good luck with that if you're doing Spanish. So excited for maths to be over. Yeah, I was when I was doing maths. It's history tomorrow. Oh, is it history? Oh, is there maybe a different exam board? Paper 3 history, maybe. Okay, there's one thing that you should never do in this exam. You should never, ever directly do what? What's going to lead to low grades? We do not copy. Don't copy the booklet. So don't just copy like paragraphs out of the booklet into your exam. you are going to get a big fat cross. Yeah, don't copy the booklet, copy from the booklet. Yeah, you use the booklet to inform your answer. You're intelligent academics. You read the information and you go, right, I want that little bit of information, that little bit from here, that bit from there, and I'm going to give my own answer, okay? And that's the skill of a geographer. We don't copy, we look at the evidence. This is the best way to think about this paper. Think about that you are the judge at the court and you're looking at all the evidence and you're making a decision for the prosecution against and the defense for it. And then you are the overall judge. Yeah, that's how I like to think about it. And also think about it this way. You are actually making a real life decision. The fact that this is a real project, it is happening or potentially happening. And it's the real world. Like you're being the adults here, making this real decision. So don't copy. The best thing to do is to quote the booklet. Yeah. So quoting is a really good thing to do. Yeah. So to quote something, you might put it in speech marks. The booklet states this, and you might get a little few words from the booklet, like you would in English literature, and quote it. Yeah. Or you might say figure 3 shows this, or figure 3 states this. That's what you should definitely be doing. You should be quoting and using, but you shouldn't be copying. Yeah, please do not copy. Right, next little tip for you is, as always with these sorts of papers, it's a skills paper. So it's like maths. So I would say practice past papers. Yeah. In particular, the question 4s, the unseen field work, because that is something that could come up. Well, it comes up every year, and you need to practice the skills. So I would practice past papers, in particular, question 4 and predicted papers. So if you go on the internet now, you'll find predicted paper 3s. You might have to buy one, but there are some predicted papers. Now, predicted papers are never 100% accurate, but they're good little strategies, okay? Your teacher might even have some predicted papers already for you to use for the decision making on tidal energy. It'd be good to practice some of those questions, okay? So they're the key things. Past papers, especially question 4s, unseen fieldwork, and then having a good look through the booklet again. Okay, right, let's get on to it then. So you are going to be asked to make a decision, some sort of decision on the tidal energy barrier, okay, as we know. And we should be planning for this, okay? You may have already written a model answer for this question. I'm going to say that is quite risky to write a model answer, but you should definitely write a plan because we don't know what the question will be, okay? Let's just guess the likelihood of the questions. So I think the first one should be something like, should the tidal barrier go ahead? Should the tidal barrier, if that comes up, that's the most straightforward question that you could get. Should the tidal barrier go ahead? And obviously you'd put yes and no, and then you'd have your debate, okay? So that's the easiest one, I think. Then you might get something like, to what extent is the tidal barrier project, tidal barrier, sustainable? So is it good for future generations? So social sustainability, is it good for the people there long term? Economic, is it good for the economy and trade and business and jobs? Is it good for the natural environment? Okay, I've got a feeling you're more likely to get something like, to what extent is the tidal barrier sustainable? Well, it's sustainable in these ways, but it's not sustainable in these. And we're going to put a little plan down here, don't worry. We are going to plan it. So you might get something like that. The last kind of prediction for a question that you might get might be, this would be a trickier one, do the socio-economic benefits, so do the people and the economy benefits outweigh the environmental drawbacks of the project? the environmental drawbacks, problems of the project now, or something along those lines. Now, that is a trickier question, and that's what I mean. You can have a plan, but you've got to be flexible, because a question is there something you've got to really address that question. Okay, so how might you structure this? Well, I'm sure you've been through it with your teachers in school, and obviously follow their advice. But let me show you how I think you should structure it. Okay, so first of all, so I'll just do a little tick list. First of all, I think you need to give an opinion. So as you open up, I think you should state your opinion. I believe that the tidal energy project should go ahead. I think it's sustainable. I think it is socially, economically beneficial. So I think you open up with a statement of opinion. Okay. Then what you need to do is talk about the 4 arguments, probably. Yeah. Why the project is sustainable. And you've got to use evidence from the booklet. Make sure you use evidence from the booklet to why you think. So this is kind of the first paragraph. Okay. Second paragraph is against. So the second paragraph of writing, you should say against arguments, why it's not sustainable, why it shouldn't go ahead. Okay, those sort of things. Talking things about social, economic, and environmental sustainability. Okay, and then also you need to talk about stakeholders in both of these sections. Which people are for it, which people are against the project. Okay, and then you need to come to a conclusion. So at the end, you need a conclusion. So this is at least 3 paragraphs of writing. And there is SPAG for this as well. So make sure you know your key terms and get those in. Things like energy security, renewable, non-renewable, multiplier effect, sustainability. Yeah, you're going to get more marks here for using that posh geographical language. That's probably a good thing. Get a glossary. Revise a glossary is a good thing to do, especially for this question. Right, so that's the kind of structure. 3 paragraphs, opening opinion and positives, then your negatives, and then your overall conclusion. Make sure you mention stakeholders in there. Right, I'm just very quickly going to get onto the chat. Then we're going to plan possible answer. Directly quote, absolutely. Quote the booklet. Speech marks for little sentences or figures. Figure 2 shows this. Figure 3 shows that. Are you going to do some content today? Yes, I am going to cover some content right now. I've got the Primrose paper. So have I. It's a good little paper. You can download it from the internet. If you type in paper 3 predicted paper, it is pretty good. Does anyone know where to find paper 3? Yes, it's on AQA geography assessment page. Could you maybe email your teacher, but you've locked online until around December time? Okay, yeah, so you're just talking to each other, yeah. Sir gave me a predicted paper 3, yeah, Primrose Kitten, yeah, it's really good. That's what we've got as well at our school. What was it last year? Don't worry about that for the time being. Sir, how long will you leave for the 12 marker? The whole of this decision making, maybe you should put this at the top. This section is recommended 50 minutes of writing time. 50 minutes, and that's for Q1 to Q3. Yeah. So roughly 50 minutes for Q1 to Q3. And the decision's going to take you 20 minutes probably. So what's that leave? 30 minutes. 30 minutes left for the rest of it. So this is probably going to take you 15 minutes, 20 minutes. Right. Let's go to the content then. So this is my plan for the big 12 marker. Let's get a table going. So whenever you're talking about geography, we always talk about social, economic, and environmental. You may also mention political if you're going for grade 9. It's not essential, but it is useful to mention political geography because politics does affect a lot of geographical issues, as you're probably aware. So we're going to put 4 arguments. So this is the positive side. So start to hit us up in the chat, guys. Why should this tidal barrier go ahead? and I prefer if you can quote evidence. So facts and figures. Somebody said this. This is a sentence in the booklet. Here's a numbered fact. Remember, you're on trial here. Not you personally. The case is on trial. So 4 arguments and against arguments. Okay. If you join your table, yeah. Down this side, we're going to have social factors or social, economic, environmental, and a conclusion. I'm just going to have to put con. So social, economic, and environmental. There we go. So this is a plan that you should definitely have. You should have thought about what arguments you're going to use for social, what arguments you're going to use for economic, and what arguments you're going to use for environmental. And then this obviously here, this could be your first paragraph, because that's what your argument's for. And then this is going to be your second paragraph. And obviously your third paragraph is your conclusion. Okay. So there we go. And we can start to structure it in that way. Okay, so what reasons have we got for developing tidal energy in Morecambe Bay? Where am I up to here? There's loads here. Would you say there's a new point? No, yeah. So in your conclusion, you pull together your main evidence. Okay, don't present any new points. Just give your firm view. Do not sit on the fence. Make sure you say, I think the tidal barrier is sustainable. I think the tidal barrier should go ahead. Yeah, make that decision. Okay, really important. 100 years of energy, 120 years. Yeah, that's what I've seen. That's a really good point. UK energy is insecure, so we need it. Absolutely, James. 200 million homes. Yeah, that's an awesome fact. I've heard it's 2% of all energy will come from that barrier. So that probably is about 200 million homes. Is it? How many homes? Wait a minute. How many homes are in the UK? I don't know if you're trying to do me here. I don't think there's 200 million homes in the UK, is there? Somebody Google how many homes are in the UK, if you can. I know it's going to generate 2% of UK energy. 2% of UK energy from this tidal barrier. Yeah, 13,000 jobs. This is facts. Yeah, well done. 13,000 jobs. All in the booklet. Tidal energy is more reliable than wind. Yes, and you can generate it at night as well, all through the day. Nuclear power plant is already there. Well done, James. Heysham nuclear power plant. 2 million. That sounds like it. Maya, yeah, 2 million. Yeah, 200 million sounds a bit ridiculous. Tidal energy should not go ahead. It would increase taxes for the UK. Would it increase taxes for the UK? Who's paying for this? 20 million boost. I love that multiplier effect. Well done, Zara. The multiplier effect is a great phrase of positivity in the area. Create jobs. People have got money. Spend more money in services. Creates more employment. And it's kind of just leads its way around. More taxation. It doesn't produce greenhouse gases. Not once it's constructed, it doesn't. During construction, it will, but after it won't. Well done. 28.7 million. Yeah, okay. So 2 million homes is the fact. Yeah, it'll provide. The government is paying. It's part of, yeah, it's part of the green energy, Labour green energy plan. So there's a little bit geekiness, okay? If you're going for grades 7 to 9, it's part of UK green energy. Maybe I can put, where can I put that? Let me just put here UK green. It's called the UK Green Energy Plan under Labour government. So taxation might go up, things like that, yeah. And I and you and your parents pay enough tax. So that is a negative rather than a positive. Right. Let's go for it then. Number 1, social benefits. It will reduce travel times for businesses, for lorries, for people traveling. Travel times between Morecambe and Barrow-in-Furness, which is in Cumbria, by 2 hours. That's a massive saving of time. It's going to take 30 minutes instead of 2 hours. So incredible. Amazon deliveries, people traveling to work. It's absolutely superb. Number 2, it will reduce poverty. Reduce poverty and deprivation, which also means poverty, in a place called Barrow-in-Furness. So it's going to reduce poverty and deprivation in the area. It's going to have shorter travel times for people visiting family between those two places, which is fantastic. So they're the social benefits. Let's go to economic ones. We're going to put here, triggers the multiplier effect. Triggers multiplier effect of positivity. People have jobs. People spend money in local business. Local businesses benefit from that increased spending. So it's going to trigger the multiplier effect. There's lots of economic positives, by the way. It's going to improve the UK's energy security. So we won't have to rely on so many imports from places like Norway, Belgium, and France. So the UK will have more energy for itself, which is a fantastic reason to build it. Energy security, good. It's going to generate 400 million for the UK economy. 400 million for the UK economy, which is fantastic. And it's going to create 13,000 jobs, which I know many of you in the chat said. That fact, I think, is one of the strongest in the entire booklet. The fact that it's giving 13,000 people and their families income and jobs in the UK, that should be celebrated. That is fantastic. Yeah, employment for those people. So, lots of reasons there. Let's go to the environmental. This gets trickier now. This project is environmentally destructive, if I'm being honest. In the short term, it's environmentally destructive. In the long term, it's probably better. Thank you for all these ideas. Yeah, taxes might increase. Yeah, good. More efficient for the project. How does it reduce travel time? Okay, so the tidal barrier is going to be a bridge as well. So it's what we call a multi-use project. So it's not just a tidal energy barrier, it's also a transportation road. And it's going to be a big bridge between North Lancashire, Morecambe, and Barrow-in-Furness. At the moment, you have to go around the M6, and it takes 2 hours to get round. And then you're going to build this new barrier. So it's a road. It's also going to carry electrical cables. It's going to carry internet cables as well. So it is a multi-use project. Maybe I can put that somewhere as well. But anyway, remember that phrase. I think they're going to say a question. Why is this called a multi-use project? And that's because it'll generate energy, provide transportation route, and be a bridge for communications, internet, electricity supplies. So there you go. Environmental impacts. So the NTPG, which is the energy company, promise to reduce the environmental impact. To reduce. So they're going to try and make sure that the birds aren't disturbed, that sediment flows and things like that still exist. And the wildlife reserves at Leighton Moss are going to be protected. They've promised to make limited damage to the area environmentally. Short term, it will damage the environment. That is for sure. Okay. Long term, it's renewable, so that could be good. And that's my next point. It is clean, sustainable, renewable energy, which is what the UK needs to do to move towards clean, green, renewable energy. It's also more reliable than wind, which is our main source of energy. And Morecambe Bay is the perfect place to put it. It's got a 10-meter tidal range. That is fantastic. Loads of energy is produced every day in that particular area. So they're just some of the positive arguments that you might want to present in your essay. Okay, hit us up in the chat, guys. What are the arguments against developing the tidal barrier? Give me time to have a cup of tea. A sip of tea. Arguments against. You're more than welcome, Zara. Thank you for your lovely manners. Ecosystem destruction, yeah. What ecosystems, QI? What ecosystems are there? They do name the specific ecosystems in the area. Here they're coming in. The negatives are rolling in. 10 billion. That is extortionate. That's very expensive. And it's going to take 25 years to build. And over those 25 years, we're going to get inflation of about 3%. So it's going to cost more than 10 billion. The price will keep rising. That's a bit geeky. So maybe for higher grades, you might talk about the inflation of price over time. 25 years to finish. 10 times more expensive than wind. It is. That's because it's quite groundbreaking technology. Really good point, though. Bruno, habitat destruction. Yeah, what habitats, guys? I want to know exactly what habitats. Roads are going to be built on the barrier nature reserves. Yeah. Leighton Moss Nature Reserve. Local fishing industry is going to be significantly impacted. Fish migration. The fish won't be able to get into the estuary as easily. Locals could move away, yeah, out migration. Okay, yes, habitat is mudflats, and I think you mean salt marsh. Yeah, salt marsh and mudflats. These are sites of special scientific interest. If you're into wildlife, you're going to get wildlife there that doesn't exist anywhere else within that area. It's so important we keep these habitats. So if you're an environmentalist geographer, you're probably not going to like the barrier at all. Okay, arguments against. So we've got social well-being of locals. Many of the locals are worried about this barrier. Okay, they're against it because they don't know the impacts. They don't know what's going to happen, what it's going to do. But in particular, there is the RSPB, Royal Society for Protection of Birds, and the Cumbria Wildlife Trust, who are also concerned about habitat loss. Habitat loss and species decline. So numbers of species declining, it's going to be a big problem, okay? And mainly as well is that the local people would probably prefer the money to be spent on the community. So I'm going to put here, locals rather money spent on community hospitals or doctors or schools rather than money spent on the community. So things like schools or local doctors, nursery clubs, that money is 10 billion. It's a lot of money, which would be, yeah, could be spent better elsewhere. Right. Economics. Let's have a look at the economic disadvantages. So it's going to cost 10 billion in UK taxpayer. That's you when you're working. It's your mums and dads. Yeah, it's a lot of money, and that will rise as well with inflation. Be even more expensive. 25 years to build. Now, obviously, it's a complex project. Highly advanced engineering, but 25 years, guys, that is ridiculous in my opinion. There might be a drop in tourism because at the moment there's a lot of tourism potentially goes on, but a drop in environmental tourism. So people who go to the nature reserve and places like that might be less likely to visit because there won't be as many species there because of the disruption. So big problems there economically. Sorry, I've just remembered something for the positives here. Without a doubt, if you invest this amount of money in the north of England, you're actually going to help with levelling up, and the north-south divide. So even though I can't believe that didn't come up in paper 2, north-south divide, maybe you could mention it here. If they build it, it will help to close the north-south divide and create jobs in the north and things like that. So that'd be fantastic. So leveling up, north-south divide. Okay, I'll catch up with the chat in a second. Environmentally, it is a bit of a disaster in the short term. In the short term, there's not very many positives. Long term, you've got these clean and green and sustainable energy, but short term, it's not so good. So it's going to disrupt. It's going to disrupt marine ecosystems. It's going to disrupt the natural balance of the ecosystem. It's going to impact on fish migration. So fish can't naturally migrate up and down the river. It's going to impact on fish migration. And it's going to also lead to a loss of intertidal habitat, which there isn't much of that even in the UK. Intertidal habitat, like your salt marsh and your mud flats, they are really precious and they need looking after. And it's going to have a huge impact on that. It's going to disrupt Leighton Moss and South Walney Nature Reserve, where there's actually some beautiful species there. So it's going to disturb. It's going to disturb Leighton Moss and South Walney nature. I can't even get this in. Nature reserves. Yeah. Which is, they're sites that are set up for conservation. They're sites of special scientific interest. Why set them up and then build near them? Okay. It's going to disrupt the species that live there. So environmentalists are very anti-barrier. But we've come to that point now where is what you're going to decide. North-south leveling up. Well done, Zara. Yeah, we did start at 6 o'clock. I'm kind of cooked. No, honestly, you're not. Watch this whole live stream. I promise you, you're not cooked. I'll tell you exactly what you need to do. Can you tell me what? Yeah, this is what this live stream's all about. Watch it from the start. Start watching now and then watch back the rest of it. Excellent, guys. Honestly, I'll really help you. Okay, what are you going to vote on the day? Are you going to be for the barrier, or do you think the tidal energy barrier is sustainable? Let us know in the chat, guys. Have your say right now. What are you going to say in your conclusion paragraph? Okay, we've got one vote for it. We've got against. So it's 1-1. 4. Yes. That's 4 for 4, 1 against. Anybody else? For it. I think it's sustainable for the UK. 4. Okay. So I think, this is my prediction, that over 80% of you geographers are going to vote this summer for the tidal energy barrier, and for very good reason. It's socially and economically superb. Okay, generally, socio-economic benefits are significant. Environmentally, renewable, green energy, energy security. It is hard to argue against this barrier, apart from the environmental impacts. So the project is not sustainable. It's not fully sustainable, but it probably is mainly socio-economically sustainable project. So this is what I'd be writing in my exam as a conclusion, roughly. All right. I'd start off my conclusion by saying, on reflection of the evidence that I've kind of presented, on reflection, the long-term people, it's going to create jobs. It's going to create 13,000 jobs. It's actually going to trigger the multiplier effect. It's going to reduce travel times. So long-term socio-economic benefits. It's going to generate 2% of the UK's electric. Amazing. Of the project. Outweigh. So obviously more important. Outweigh the short-term environmental impacts. Because let's be honest, right? It's renewable energy. So long term, the UK has to invest in renewable energy, doesn't it? It has to improve its energy infrastructure. So you've got to make this shift, okay? And it will disrupt the wildlife, but wildlife is resilient. It will come back. Might take 10 years, but it will return. And usually nature finds a way to come back and be restored. So I think the environmental benefits are generally short term. For the importance, and what is more important than national energy security, importance of national energy security, making sure the UK has the energy it needs for its infrastructure, industry, the importance of national energy security. Yeah. The project is sustainable. The project is should go ahead. The project should go ahead. Okay. And I'm behind you guys in the chat. I think this project should go ahead. I'm not saying I'm right. It doesn't matter what you put as long as you argue. Okay. But I personally think, not that I live in the area, I personally think that the socioeconomic benefits outweigh the short-term environmental impacts. Okay. But I am probably a NIMBY. A NIMBY is somebody who's, if it's not next to their house, they think it's a good idea. If I actually lived in Morecambe Bay, would I be for it? I don't know. And that's what we call NIMBYism. So I think there's a lot of NIMBYism from the locals not wanting it to happen. But yeah, I can understand why. They'll be worried about what's going to happen. So, as I say, you don't tend to write an actual answer. You have a plan. And then in your exam, you can choose the bits that you want to do and then structure your answer in that way. There we go, guys. That's section A. Questions 1, 2, 3, 50 minutes. And that is what you're going to need there. So, I think we're going to go on to section 2, which is unseen fieldwork. And there is a few bits here. That you need to be thinking about and know. So here we go. So questions 1, 2, 3 are done there. This one is question 4. Unseen fieldwork. This is the one that you've got to practice from the past papers. No one knows what's going to be asked of this section. It's just a bit of a skills section. If you're good at maths, you might just be good at this section anyway, because it's usually got a little bit of maths in there. But don't worry. This section should take you around about 15 minutes to complete. Okay, so question 4, that's all the questions, unseen fieldwork. So we're going to start off with some key terms. Primary data and secondary data. Here's in the chat, guys, what is the difference between primary data and secondary data? And we'll get a little definition in. What's the difference between primary and secondary data? I forgot to say this actually as well. So for the decision here, the examiners are going to read a lot less anti-barrier answers. If you can write a really sophisticated argument not to develop the barrier with environmental kind of reasoning, you're probably going to stand out more in a smaller field. There's going to be a lot less anti-barrier answers, I think, this year. So if you really want to push the boundaries and be smart, try and write a really strong anti-argument, and you will shine. I know QI is going to write an anti-barrier argument. So yeah, right. Primary, secondary data. Here we go. Let's have a look. Primary data is data you collect yourself. Absolutely, it is, Harry. First hand. Well done, Anna. Collected yourself, superb. Collected yourself, yeah. Primary data is data you collect yourself. Secondary is where you get from other sources. Well done, Maya. They might ask you this question, you see. Primary data you collect yourself. Okay, so primary data is you collect it yourself. Collect yourself through fieldwork. So you've all done fieldwork with your schools and you've been out collecting data. It is very time consuming, but you get very up-to-date data if you collect it yourself. and you get the data you need for your hypothesis and aims. So there's lots of advantages about doing primary data. The only disadvantage is the time it takes to get that data, and maybe that some people won't engage in your surveys. So if you've got questionnaires, it's hard to get people to fill them in. Okay, secondary data is gathered from other sources. So that could be from where your favorite places are, guys, the internet, or maybe, I know this is going to sound weird, but a book. Yeah, they do exist still. A newspaper, things like that. Okay, so these are key terms you need to know. You also need to know the difference between quantitative data, and qualitative data. So hit us up in the chat, guys. What's the difference between quantitative data and qualitative data? Your field work, you probably collected both types of data when you're doing your investigations and your surveys. What is the difference between quantitative and qualitative? Yeah. Oh, secondary data, should have mentioned this. So secondary data, what's the positives of it? It's very easy to obtain if you get it off the internet or from AI. It's very quick to get that data. Problems with internet-based data, it could be out of date. You don't always know the author, or the author might not be kind of authoritarian. If you get it from Facebook, it's not a very reputable, reliable source. Okay, and that data could be older. If you've got the data off the internet, it's probably going to be older than, obviously, than when you go out and collect it yourself. So primary and secondary data, you probably need both of them in your field work. They both have their strengths, and they certainly both have their weaknesses. So let's go to this one then. Quantitative, numerical, well done. Well done. Using numbers. Quantitative is numbers, quantity. Qualitative is words. Well done. You're on form there, Slymonk 2. Quantitative is numbers, qualitative is opinions and words. Yeah, we've nailed this, guys. Superb. So quantitative is numbers, such as a traffic count. 1, 2, 3, 3 cars. Yeah. So it's numbers. And qualitative is words or opinions, which are words as well, isn't it? But they are descriptions. Qualitative is descriptions. Okay. The good thing about numbered data is it's objective. Yeah. So the main strength about numerical data is it's objective. And the problem with words is it can be subjective. So words can be subjective, where numbers are objective. What does that mean, guys? Hit us up in the chat. What do we mean by subjective? If a bit of data is subjective, what might that mean? Or give me an example of where data could be subjective. Okay, we're getting there. Harder to distinguish whether something is right or wrong. Objective, it's factual. Okay. Yeah, well done. So objective, no opinion. Absolutely, it's no opinion. Subjective could be bias. What shops appeal to what? Yes, well done, Sarah. I like the example. Very good example. Harry, objective is fact. Subjective is opinion. Yeah, absolutely right. Subjective can be biased and a person's viewpoint. Objective is a non-biased fact. Okay, so objective, if I said measure the length of this highlighter pen with a ruler, we should all get the same distance. It's objective. If we count cars at the same time on the same road, we should both get the same numbers at the end. So it's objective. Subjective is where it's an opinion. So this is a great example. If you're looking at sediment shape, yeah, sediment shape, and they've got something called the Powers Index of Roundness. And I look at it and go, oh, it's angular. I'll give it a 1. And somebody else, my friend, might be going, oh, I think it's subangular. I'd give it a 2. So we've all got different opinions. Yeah. Some people like geography, some people don't. It's subjective, isn't it? Okay, well done. Right, let's go on to the next bit. So when you gather data on your fieldwork, you will have to use sampling methods. Sampling methods are really important in geography fieldwork, especially if you're going to do A-level. I reckon we've probably got some A-level geographers in the chat tonight or watching on the live stream. And the reason why we have to do sampling is to keep our data reliable, valid, and non-biased. Or non-biased. Can't squeeze it in, but anyway. So you need to know your 4 sampling methods. What are they? What are the 4 ways in which you can sample and collect data? Can you remember them? These are ways to gather data. What are the 4 ways of sampling? Thanks. I don't know who you're saying thanks to, but that's amazing. It was from our... Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, we used the Powers Index rounds. Will this be available tomorrow? Oh, yeah, absolutely. You can watch it on catch up. So this is recording, and when it drops out, you can watch it back on catch up. Absolutely, yeah. Thanks for dropping in, though. We really appreciate it. I thought there were 6. As far as I know, there's 4, but there might be 6. I teach 4. Systematic, yes. So let's start with that one then. Systematic sampling. There probably is 6. But there's 4 main ones. Systematic sampling is where you apply a rule. Apply a rule. I'm going to measure every 2 meters. I'm going to measure every 5th shop. I'm going to measure every 10 meters down the river. Okay, that's systematic sampling. Good. What's next? Opportunistic. Opportunistic sampling, yeah. I'm going to pick the people who are sat down waiting for a bus to do my questionnaire. There's an opportunity. I know there's a group of, I don't know, elderly people that I can go and speak to, and I get my data from them. So opportunistic. There's an opportunity. Good. Random is one. Well done. Random sampling, where you use a kind of a random number generator. A random number generator, yeah. So you might go on the internet and go, okay, give me numbers 1 to 50, and I'm going to spin the wheel, and it's going to pick 6, 12, 14, whatever, and I'm going to interview those people. Keeps it random, non-biased. So what's the last one? We've had systematic. Oh, yes, stratified, which is actually the most common method, even though you guys have left it till the end. Stratified sampling. So we've got random, stratified, opportunistic, and systematic. Okay. Stratified is where you apply knowledge. So I'm going to measure this section of the river because I know this is the upper course. It's got a V-shaped valley. It's got large rock sediments. It's a narrow channel. So I'm going to measure this area here. I'm going to go to this area of Manchester because I know it's the inner city. It's got terraced housing. So you apply your geography knowledge to choose the place. And geographers use this one a lot. It's fantastic. Yeah. So you use your geography knowledge. What's the point of going to a lower course section of river if you want to measure waterfalls? It would make no sense. So stratified is where you apply knowledge or theory, and then you go to that place to test that knowledge or theory. Okay, so unseen fieldwork. There are things you've got to know, look, as you can see. Data types, sampling methods, and you've got to know your graphs and your maps. So we're going to draw another box here. And the fieldwork stuff, which is the last bit I'm going to go through, won't take that long because I can't go into specifics because we've all got different schools here. And my school, I've shared our specific stuff already. So you've got to know your fieldwork. So if you haven't got exams tomorrow, make sure you revise your fieldwork bits and bobs. and I'll tell you what they are as well on this live stream. So we have two types of data when it comes to graphing. We have discrete data, and we have continuous data. Hit us up in the chat, guys. What's the difference between discrete data and continuous data? What have we got? What's the difference? Because you need to know which graph to use for which type of data. So what do we need to know for discrete data? What do we need to know for continuous data? So discrete data only has certain values. Example 5. Not sure that is the correct definition. Bradshaw model, yeah. So the Bradshaw model, we use stratified sampling, Bruno, yeah, because we use the Bradshaw model. So absolutely, applying the Bradshaw model is stratified sampling. Well done, you. Love it. Discrete is when it doesn't change. No, that's not either. Discrete, specific numbers which have whole numbers. Yeah. We're not sure about this, are we? Okay, discrete data is data that's in groups. So it's like rocks. How many angular rocks have you? How many subangular rocks have you? So in terms of transport, it's like how many people had a car, how many people had a bus, a taxi, a train. So it's grouped data. Okay. Continuous data is infinite numbers. So for example, things like distance. If I said to you, count for as long as you can, the distance you can measure. It's infinite. You'll be here for the rest of your life. You can keep counting. With distance, time is also continuous. If I said count the number of years on Earth from 2025 onwards, you could keep on counting till the end of your life. Like it's infinite. It's continuous. So discrete data is groups. So we use 3 main graphs for groups. Everyone's favorite, bar graphs. Really simple to read. Really easy to interpret. Everyone loves a bar graph. And they're for groups. What is your favorite subject? And you could ask, and people will go, history is the orange, geography is the yellow, and maths is the green. Okay, they're groups, they're subjects, they're in groups. There isn't an infinite amount of subjects, is there? So it's discrete data. You can also have things like divided bar graphs that do like percentages. So how much is renewable, non-renewable, and sustainable with the percentages up the bar graph. In fact, it won't surprise me if you get something like that. Yeah, you got all the energies, wind, solar, and tidal. So these are called divided bar graphs. So you've got to know your names of your graphs. Sometimes they might say, can you recommend a graph for this data? So if it's discrete data, these are the sort of graphs you should have. And one of my favorites for discrete data is a pie chart. Who doesn't love a pie chart? Yeah, great if you want to work out percentages of something. Absolutely. Opinions. If there's a question showing you like 70% of people don't like tidal energy, how would you put this on a graph? Pie charts. Pie charts are great for percentages and opinions. Yeah. Very good, not very good, rubbish. Yeah, that's discrete data. So that's our discrete data. Continuous data, like time, like distance, you might use a line graph. Yeah, line graphs are used for continuous data. Knowing which graph to use as a geographer is a skill. That's what they're testing here. And last but not least, the one that we use for our field work was a scatter graph. That's because we were measuring distance on our data. So for anything to do with distance and time, scatter graph or line graph. Okay. So there you go. Quick summary there. Now, you do need to know the maps. So there are 6, there's more than 6 maps possible, but there's 6 main maps. So let's draw some pictures. So they might say, oh, we've got this data. What map could you use to draw here? Okay, so the first one, the first map that you might use is called an isoline map. Isoline map. And that joins places of equal value. Now, obviously, you're geographers. You've probably seen the contour lines on a map. You got an OS map, didn't you, in your paper too? It will have had some orange lines on it. Those orange lines are isolines. They connect places of equal height on the land. So isolines join places of equal values. So yeah, like height on maps. One of my favorite maps of all times, I do miss doing these at school, is a choropleth map. And this is where you've got different shades of color to represent something. So I was actually teaching earlier a map showing you where water was in the world, and it went from blue to yellow to red. And the red areas was where there was a lack of water. The yellow was where there was kind of water stress, and then the blue was a surplus. So choropleth is where you use kind of depth of color to show something. And yeah, they're great maps, very effective. And you'll see these all the time when you're out and about. Map number 3 could be a dot map. So this could be a map showing megacities in the world, and they just put a red dot when there's over 10 million people. So that's a great example of a dot map. A dot map is when you put a dot when you've got a certain number of whatever it is, like 10 million people. So dot maps could be good for things like that. Next one, map number 4. Now, your teachers could be forgiven for not going through this too much in lessons because, as you know, the course is very busy, and this is something that they'll pick up with you in the next couple of days probably. But you've got a map like this which shows you where people have come from, yeah, or where people might go. So it's called a desire line map. Desire line map. Yeah. So I always see these. If you've been on holiday abroad and you see like Ryanair on the back of the seat, it shows you which destinations they go to, where Ryanair fly to. That's a desire line map. Okay. It shows where they travel to. Just a single line that links it. Where people travel from. A little bit more technical, you might have a proportional flow line map. So there are quite a few people that go here, but then there's not many people that go to this place. So you just make it so the arrows are thinner. So you might have thinner arrows to where there's less people travel, and then you've got thicker arrows to where more people travel. So it's called a flow line map. A proportional flow line. Yeah. This one is a proportional flow line map. The wider the arrow, the more people go to that destination. And last but not least, we've got map number 6. And there are more maps than this, but these are the main ones. You might have a proportional symbols map. So here is my map. Let's just say this is the number of pedestrians in an area. And this symbol represents 10 people. That one's 5 people. That is 1 person. Yeah. So this is called proportional symbols map. And you'll have seen all of these maps across your lessons over the last 2 years. And sometimes you might say, well, we've got some data here. Which map would be best for that data? Okay. And these are the kind of 6 main maps that you might use. Hopefully that's helped you. Right. So for question 4, which you might seem to think that there's nothing you can revise. There you go. So the best thing to do for question 4 really is practice some papers, past papers, for Q4, and that will really help you. Right, on to the field work. Now, I am not going to teach the field work from my school because that is available for all my geographers on Showbit. You must know your field work. Hit us up in the chat, guys. Has your teacher given you a revision sheet, like what we call a crib sheet for your field work, like a summary sheet of what you did? Because obviously you might have done it a while ago. The human brain forgets. So have you been given a crib sheet, a summary sheet for field work and what you did? Let us know. So I'll come to that in a second. Question 5 is your field work. So you have to know your physical field work and you have to know your human field work. Okay. And this is, you have to revise this. I can tell you exactly what they're going to ask you. And you're probably thinking, how does he know exactly what they're going to ask me? Because they ask the same things pretty much year on year. Okay. And they have to, because they don't know what you've researched. So I'm going to tell you what you need to know. And then you're going to have to go away and either ask your teacher, ask them for a booklet, ask them for a crib sheet. Just say, Miss, Sir, have you got a summary of our fieldwork that I can revise? Have you got a summary sheet that I can revise for my fieldwork, or a summary set of slides that I can revise in the next 2 days for my fieldwork? My geographers, it's on Showbit. Check it out. It's there towards the bottom. So you need to know 2 fieldworks. You need to know your physical, which could be a river or the coast. They're the most common. And then you have to know your human, which is normally things like a town or a city. It could be regeneration is very popular. Regeneration. So let's have a look. Are those teachers giving out crib sheets? No. Zara, you must ask for something. Can you please go through the pros and cons of each, just roughly, of the maps? They both have, so kind of, they all have pros and cons. Right. Isolines, very difficult to see them if the numbers are very close together. So if you've got 50 and then 100 very close, they can get blurred. Choropleth maps, fantastic visually, but it suddenly shows a kind of a very quick change in the data. So data is not that rapid. So these people wouldn't have water. These people have water. These don't. And they're literally right next to each other. That's not reality. It would be a gradual phasing of places that have water and not have water. But choropleth maps make it look like drastic change all of a sudden. Dot maps don't tell you exactly how much. I said over 10 million. So we know there's over 10 million, but we don't know. There could be 20 million. We don't know. So don't give you exact numbers. Design lines are not proportional. You don't know how many people are moving. Flow lines do. Flow lines are very positive. They're great maps. They show you how much and where from. So I've got very little negatives about proportional flow lines. Proportional symbols, again, you've got kind of set categories. So 10, 5, 1. What if your number is 7 or 8? It might be misrepresented by the proportional symbols. So there's a few. Hopefully that's helped you. Okay, so if your teacher hasn't given you a crib sheet, ask for one, Zara. Yeah, ask for a little crib sheet. I did Wharton on the Naze. Great place to go. Ask your teacher for a summary of what you did. Like, you need this, guys. You need it. I don't know what you did. I can't help you out with that, but I certainly think you should ask for it. Not like okay. Lost mine. Ask for another one. I'm sure they'll give you it. You've got a booklet. Good. Revise the booklet. Yeah, we did have 2 booklets. Revise the booklet. You're more than welcome, Zara. Write the title for your human and fieldwork inquiry. Yeah. So you're going to need to know your human title. Oh, excuse me. You need to know your human title of your fieldwork. Okay. For my geographers, it was quality of life in Winsell. I promise you, they're going to ask you, what were you researching? What was the title of your research? The shorter it is, the more likely you are to remember it. Quality of life in Winsell. 5 words. What's yours? Can you remember? Again, you can put in the chat if you remember what your title is. Our physical title.
was, for my school, changes to a river downstream. Changes to a river downstream. Yeah, how many words is that? Again, it's 5. Try and get your fieldwork title down to 3, 4, 5, 6 words, okay? You don't want this massive paragraph for a title. Keep it short, keep it sweet, and just know what you did. You've got to know what you were doing. So we were looking at quality of life in a place, and we were looking at changes to a river downstream in a place called Cardamil Valley, which is very famous in the geography world. Is that question worth a mark? No, it's not. But you can't access the full marks for the question if you don't know your title. So technically, it is kind of worth a mark. My title is super long. Try and get it down to 5 words, 5 or 6 words. Yeah. I was on the exam board training this year for AQA. They said try and get it as concise as possible. So I've shortened mine again this year, 5 words. Yeah. Does Spicy Gill follow? Perfect. That's a really good title. So does this river, Spicy Gill, that's a nice river name, follow the Bradshaw model is a brilliant title. That's what we looked at. Changes to a river downstream, Bradshaw model. Love that. Our teachers say it has to be a question or get 0 for all your questions. Question 5. No, it doesn't have to be a question. It can be a statement. That's not a question there. That's a statement. And that is perfectly fine. Does the river follow the Bradshaw model? So question or statement, it has to be. Right, so what do you think they're going to ask you about then? It's got to be something that can be applied to everyone's fieldwork across the country. So what do you think the themes of the questions will be? You can predict them now. It's easy. What do you think they're going to ask you? Sorry, I've got a bit of hay fever, guys. But we don't let that stop us, do we? Risks, absolutely. Risks is on there. I've got 6 things that come up nearly every year. So number 1 is risks. You've got, all right. Location, that comes up pretty much every year. Location, well done. What's this one? Yeah, what data did you get? What were your results, basically? What were your results, effectively? Good. Right, okay. So what I've done, guys, over the last week, I've looked at all the past papers since 2018. I've looked at all the questions that's ever been on, and it boils down to 6 areas, okay? And I'm going to use the mark schemes to give you the information here. So you can't really go wrong with this. The first one is going to be location. They're going to say, why was your location chosen? Yeah. Describe your location. What were the advantages of your location? Things like that. So these are things on the mark scheme. Number 1, you chose the place because it is accessible. You can get there by bus, by car, you can walk there. This is the mark scheme, accessible. One thing you don't say is my teacher told us we were going there. Do not say that. You've got to put it across like you are in charge. So it's accessible. The place matched the aims of our study. It matched the aims of the study. So the reason why I went to Spicy Gill is because there was a river there that I could test for the Bradshaw model. It matched the aims. We went to Cardamil Valley because there's a river there that we can look at the changes downstream. So it matched the aims. And you'd be pretty daft not to, but you chose an area that was low risk and relatively safe. So if you went to an area of coastline, you chose an area of coastline that was lower risk to measure, longshore drift or your groins or whatever else you were measuring. We went to areas of rivers that were safer to be at. So that's important. So if it asks you about location, it was accessible, it matched the aims, low risk. Okay. And then that leads me on to the next one, risks. They often ask you about risks and what you did to avoid them. Yeah, a bit like you're the teacher. So we're going to go for 3 here. Risk number 1, trips, slips and falls. This is on every single geography trip. Trips, slips and falls. Yeah, tripping on the beach, tripping near a river, tripping on the footpath. It's going to happen, isn't it? How do we avoid that? To mitigate it, we use suitable footwear. Whatever that is, walking boots, wellies. We've got sensible footwear on. Okay, that's our mitigation. That's a great word, by the way. Mitigate means to do something to stop something else from happening in the future. Weather is always a risk on a geography trip. I don't know what the weather was like when you did your field work, but weather. So you might wear sun cream to mitigate. We went in June, it was sunny, we had to wear sun cream. Or you might wear a waterproof jacket so that you don't get hypothermia. This is the thing with this section. So you've got to say why you would do it. This sounds crazy, right? So you get a mark for saying the weather, and I would wear sun cream. And the reason why I'd wear sun cream is to stop sunburn. So that's what seriously, you have to tell them why you would wear the sun cream. So the reason why I'd wear a waterproof jacket is to stop hypothermia, getting too wet and getting too cold. So yeah, I know it sounds daft, but if you want the full marks, you've got to say why you would use that particular thing. So weather, slip, trips and falls, and what's the other one that I've got here? Again, this goes to coast. So avoid deep / fast flowing water. So this is for my rivers one, or if you're at the coast, like you don't go into the river where it's fast flowing, where it's too deep. You don't go in the sea where there's a massive 3-foot wave going to take you off your feet. Okay. 3-foot wave is not very big, actually. It's a meter high. But anyway, you get the point. So avoid deep and fast flowing water. Why do I do that? Well, to stop or the risk of drowning. Yeah. Getting washed off your feet, getting washed out to sea, getting knocked off your feet in the river and hitting your head on a rock. So risks. Okay. So that's another section. Right. Next section. We've got, always comes up. Always. A primary method of data collection. So you've got to tell them exactly how you measured something, whether it be the river, it'll probably say either physical or human. So it'll say, for your human field work, describe a primary method of data collection. Or for a human field work, justify why you did that type of collection. What did you do it for? Why did you collect that data? So this comes up all the time, okay? So top tip, state why the data you collected was important. So why did I measure the river velocity? The reason why we measured the river velocity is we know on the Bradshaw model that rivers velocity increases downstream. So I wanted to measure 3 sites to see if the velocity did increase downstream, because in theory, the river gets wider and deeper, there's less friction, and there's a faster velocity. I wanted to test that theory. Other reasons why you might collect data is an appropriate scale. So we went to 3 places to measure the river. That was an appropriate scale. It wasn't too big, wasn't too small. You've got to often describe the method, like the instructions. Now, you only need to know 1 human and 1 physical method. You don't. So I reckon when you went on field work, you did, I don't know, 5 or 6 different types of measurements. You only need to know 1 physical and 1 human method. Okay, but know it in real good detail. My geographers, you did velocity and the questionnaire is the ones we focused on. And here you can talk about the equipment that you used. So what equipment were you using to measure the flow? We use ranging poles, tape measure, and a dog biscuit to float down. Oh, and a stopwatch. So make sure you know the equipment that you used to measure it. Okay. Right. They like to ask you about anomalies. Oh, in your results, what were the anomalies? What do we mean by anomalies, guys? Hit us up in the chat. What is an anomaly? Because they might ask you about anomalies. And hopefully in your data, you've got some anomalies. Okay. So what were the anomalies? Oops, I just realized I'm not. Sorry, guys. Just realized I won't move down there. Sorry, guys. There we go. Anomalies. No, it's me. I moved the paper. Well, we went in November. Yeah, that's probably you need a coat and things like that. Stepped access. Yeah, good. Groins. How does orange will move from the wave? Oranges are used to measure longshore drift. How the zigzag pattern of movement along the shoreline. Does the yeah? Does the paper tend to be So you will get asked about both physical and human field work. It's the same amount of marks roughly. The last question is always you choose. You choose either physical or human. So the last question you normally have a choice to talk about evaluating your study. Yeah, you normally get to choose. So anomalies are. Sir, can you move the yeah, sorry guys, I just realized that. An outlier, well done. Yeah. Can you move the camera? Sorry guys. Extreme data, an exception, well done. Yeah. So anomalies are things that data that doesn't fit the pattern of the rest of the data. It's the surprising result. Doesn't fit the pattern of all the other results. It's an outlier. Now, I'll be honest, if you haven't got any anomalies, probably worth trying to make one up because anomalies are really good to talk about because it's the interesting point that you didn't quite expect. We had an anomaly, which was the river was actually deeper in Site 1 in the upper course than it was in the lower course. So anomalies are interesting talking points. And yeah, try and find some. You probably have got some in your data. Okay, 3 more areas then. So we've done location, risks, and methods. Let's go down to data presentation. So they might ask you, oh, for your physical fieldwork, how did you present your results? What did you use? What graphs did you use? Data presentation. Why did you choose that graph to do your data presentation on? Well, I used a scatter graph because it's continuous data, and that's the most effective way to present it. So things like, how did you present your data? Did you do it graphically on a graph? Or did you use a cartographic method, cartography? Did you put your data onto maps? My school, we didn't, but maybe you did. Maybe you plotted your fieldwork data on a map. That's cartographical. When you're presenting your data, you wanted to make sure it was visual and it was accurate. It's easy to read. Why would you draw a graph? To make that data easy to interpret and easy to, well, that's another one, easy to interpret. I used a pie chart because it was easy to interpret my data. It was easy to draw as well, maybe. So I used a pie chart because it was easy to draw. And last but not least, the reason why I drew graphs is because it shows trends and patterns in my data. So having numbers on a page in a table, often you don't see the patterns. With a graph, you can see the patterns, you can see the trends, you can see the relationships in the data. Okay? Right. Second to last, they might say conclusions. What conclusions did you draw from your results? Did the river change in a downstream direction? Was the beach profile changing? Was the quality of life different in one area of Winshill than in other? So what did you find out? Conclusion is, what did you find out? Yeah. What did you find out from your research, what did you find out? Yeah. Tell them what you found out. Which parts of the river did change, which parts of the river didn't change. Your key findings, key results here. Yeah. So you talk about your key results. Did quality of life differ from one area to another? You might also say, link your findings to the aim. So did your results match the aim that you were investigating? Yeah. How well did it match those aims? Well, it did in this sense, but it didn't in this one. This place matched, but this place didn't. Okay. So that's what you need to do there. And then, so usually the 9 marker is either conclusions, this one, or evaluation. No study is perfect. And this one is a good one because you got to say, right, well, this was the strengths. We collected really good, accurate data. But what were the weaknesses? What could be improved? Maybe I could go to a different site. Maybe I could go and use different equipment. Those sort of things. So evaluation. Was the data reliable that you collected? Did you collect it well on the day? Were you really precise about your measurements? Did you actually do it in a set location? How much effort did you put into that accurate data collection? Or did you just look at the tape measure and go, yeah, it's roughly this? Yeah. What about the scale of your study? Did you do enough streets? Did you investigate enough streets, do you think? Could you have done more streets? What streets would you have done instead? What about the scale of your study? Was it too small or too big, possibly? What about your sampling methods? And just make something up. We use stratified sampling, but we could have used a random method to pick our sections of the river, and that would have been less biased. Okay, so maybe you could think, okay, sampling methods there. And last one here on this side. How did this impact you? Yeah. How did your results impact your conclusion? So did you get the answers that you thought you would get for your results? Okay. Were there any anomalies? Were there anything that kind of surprised you with your fieldwork? And that's good. Like, interesting, surprising results are always great to talk about. And there's one thing that comes up pretty much on every mark scheme here, and it says this: do you have sufficient evidence? Do you have sufficient evidence to make a judgment? So do you feel you had sufficient evidence to say the river changed in a downstream direction, that longshore drift was evident on these sets of groins? Do you feel you have strong evidence? And what you would say is, I feel that this study had sufficient evidence to make the judgment that that rivers changed in a downstream direction, or quality of life was different. So it's a really great phrase, but think about that. Maybe think about what equipment you could have used that you didn't use. Could you have asked more people? Your questionnaire, could you have extended that questionnaire to different demographic groups? Elderly, middle-aged, young. So you're always thinking, what's the strengths and weaknesses of my field work? Okay, so have a think about that before you go into that exam. So there we go, guys. That is paper 3. Oh, we didn't do the timings for this one. So this one's 50, 65. So this is 25 minutes on fieldwork questions. So 25 minutes for this section on fieldwork. And there you go. This is what paper 3 looks like. It's testing your skills of a geographer. It's going to test your decision-making skills, your kind of skills for geography, fieldwork, and then you've got to know this stuff, guys. So you know you're going to have to make a decision, get planning. You know that you're going to be asked questions generally about graphs and maps and fieldwork, and make sure you know your fieldwork in particular. So thank you for joining us tonight, guys. I hope you've really enjoyed that session. We've done some amazing revision today. Get revising this stuff. It'd be really, really important. For my geographers, everything is on our Showbie. Check it out. You can get revising tomorrow at home. And we were going to be back for our last live stream of the year, of the season 2025. It's Wednesday night. And all I'm going to be doing is Q&A. So if you've got any questions and answers, yeah, let us know in the chat and you can ask those questions as well. It's great to have you all here. Thank you so much. Hit that like button. It makes a big difference to the channel. Subscribe if you're not already subscribed, and post it on social medias to help other students. Reddit was great. Anything else that you're on, help other people around the country as well. Anyway, you guys have been awesome. Hope you can make Wednesday night. We'll be here at 6 p.m. For now, you take care. Have a lovely evening. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You guys are awesome. Take care. Bye-bye.